Hey guys, and welcome to another video. Today I'm going to be ranking 51 of the roller coasters I've done in the UK since I've never actually left the UK before. But that's fine because I've done plenty of rides in the UK, so right now I kind of know what I'm talking about. So I reckon I can give quite a good opinion on what rides I do like and I don't like, since I absolutely love roller coasters and that's just what I do. So, without further ado, this is my opinion, guys, by the way. So please don't come at me and hate me for what I think, because it's generally just my opinion. I was actually meant to post this video on Roller Coaster Day, but we ignore that. But without further ado, please can you like and subscribe? At number 51, we have Caterpillar Coaster at Paultons Park. Overall, it's such a great family coaster, but I feel like it does deserve number 51. I have my reasons. Last time I did it, I was at back row and I nearly fell out. The restraints are overall not safe. They're not I didn't get secured in properly and they're just no. So as you saw there, I had my head poking up and it just wasn't the best experience. But I do not like the ride at all and I'm not going to be going on it again. Let's just say that. But I do love Paultons Park. Anyway, I'm going to show my face at the end because it's quite funny, but we move. At number 50, we have Duplo Coaster at Legoland Windsor. Overall, such a small ride, but it's not really aimed for me. It's mainly aimed at the younger children, so that's probably why it's so low down. I feel like as I've done it only once, I feel like I shouldn't really be giving the worst opinions on it. But I'd say for little kids, it's a great ride for them. Anyway, moving on. This brings us to number 49, which is Treetops at... Wait, where's it from? Number 49, we have Treetops at Oakwood. This ride was generally a decent ride. I like the fact that you go through the woods and you have different elements, and back row is honestly so good. But I feel like it's so down in my ratings because it's not the best, if you get what I mean. It's one of those really old coasters, but I honestly still don't mind it. But overall, it has the airtime, it has the elements, it's such a great ride, so yeah. At number 48, we have Monkey Mayhem at West Midlands Safari Park. This ride was so rough. I actually just cannot describe the brake run at the top. Oh my gosh. It was just unbelievable. It was really rough. And I feel like you get a really good spin on it, but I feel like it's just so rough. And I don't know. It was expected. It's not an actual theme park, I guess. It's a safari park. So I'm not really surprised, to be fair. But it's a decent ride. You get some good airtime moments and just it's decent. I just don't think it deserves to go any higher up. At number 47, we have the Shark Ride at Creeley. This ride, oh my god, is so much fun. When I'm on a school trip with the school, this is the most funnest ride ever. It's a small ride, but overall, it's so good and it's honestly so fun to ride. At number 46, we have African Big Apple at West Midlands Safari Park. This ride was, it was okay. I must say, it wasn't the greatest, especially because it's in the same park as Monkey Mayhem, but I feel like it was a bit fun. I have to say that. It did have some excitement, blah, blah, but it didn't have the speeds, but it did, when you got the airtime on that drop you just saw there, it was decent. But I quite like the idea of going through that Big Apple, and overall, it's a decent ride, so it's not, so low down in my, rankings, but I feel like it still deserves to go quite low. At number 45, we have Dragon's Apprentice at Legoland Windsor. This ride is honestly so enjoyable. I don't know how. When I first went on this ride last year, I thought it would be not the greatest coaster, but it picks up so much speed and it's honestly such a good ride. At number 44, we have Dino Chase at Paultons Park.
This ride is it's quite small, but it's still really enjoyable. You get some good airtime, I guess, but it's just a pretty decent ride. Like, it's personally made for kids mostly, but you still can't get enough rides on it because it's just another roller coaster extra, and it's more coaster creds. So it's overall such a brilliant ride, not gonna lie. It adds to the theme of the whole dinosaur land at Polton's, and I feel like Polton's, they've actually done really well when it comes to this dinosaur theme in. I mean, they've had it for years, but still not the point. Like, they've generally went all out with it, and I think it's such a great theme for the park, and Polton's is generally just such a great park. At number 43, we have Octonauts at Alton Towers Resort. This family coaster is generally quite enjoyable, and the reason why I put it down so low is all the other reasons why all these other family coasters are down so low. I feel like it's the age range that's most important, but overall it's such a great coaster, don't get me wrong. At number 42, we have Troublesome Trucks at Drayton Manor. This family coaster, honestly, is probably one of the best ones out of the lot, I'd say, probably. It packs so much speed, full knowing it is still a family coaster in Thomasland as well. So it's such a great coaster. I'm being so for real, like, it has some great elements and just packs a lot of speed. So don't get me wrong, overall, it's a family coaster, and I know it's low down, but still. A bit of change of plans. This is the best family coaster coming up. Most will agree. At number 41, we have Flying Fish at Thorpe Park. This ride, oh my god, is honestly so good. People just don't appreciate it too much. Like, I swear. This family coaster, honestly, when I was at Thorpe Park Fright Nights, I went on the busiest time of the year, and this was the only night ride I did, and the operators, oh my god, they literally let us have like 4 or 5 goes on here. They were such legends, and honestly, it's such a good coaster. Oh my god. At number 40, we have Rhino Chase at West Midlands Safari Park. This coaster was honestly so enjoyable, and I was generally not expecting it from such a small theme park / zoo. Like, it's more of a zoo than a theme park, as well as Monkey Mayhem you can see there. But overall, honestly, it packs the speed, and it's honestly such a good coaster. So we're just going to ignore how low down it is on my ratings, but honestly, it was so enjoyable, so fun. Me and Jensen got back row in it, and it was generally just such a really fun and enjoyable coaster, and it's such a great family coaster, especially for such a small park, but honestly, it's so enjoyable. At number 39, we have Maximus at Creeley. This ride, honestly, when I'm here at school trip, since I live like 10 minutes away, it is the most enjoyable ride literally ever. No one can ever say that it's not, because honestly, it is such a good ride. Honestly, I don't even know what else to say because it's just brilliant. It's such a good coaster. I love it. At number 38, we have the Dragon at Legoland Windsor. This ride, honestly, is so good. Like, honestly, so good. It has the theming throughout that little indoor section at the start. Honestly, it just blows my mind every single time whenever I go on it. Even the drops, like, I get like it's not the most exciting coaster, and Legoland isn't really made for the people my age, but honestly, it so is, and I love it. At number 37, we have Jormungandr, or however the hell you say it, at Drayton Manor. This ride, honestly, as a brand new coaster, I love the fact it goes over the water. I think that was such a good theme piece, I guess you could call it, for the park. Honestly, like, it's not the most speedy, whippy coaster, but it's such an enjoyable coaster. I love it. At number 36, we have Creepy Crawler at Oakwood. This ride was honestly concerning. Honestly, really concerning. I did not know how to feel about it. It was a pretty decent coaster, but it was so rough, and the restraints are really weird. Like, really, really weird. Like, the most weirdest restraints I've ever seen, except for Mumbo Jumbos, of course. But it just felt really odd. But overall, it's intense. Let's just put it that way. But it was okay, if you can even say that. But, moving on. At number 35, we have Farmyard Flyer at Polton's. This ride, honestly, like, it didn't go to disappoint. It was actually such a good coaster. Like, overall, like,
I know it's like a kiddie coaster, but it's honestly got the theming and everything, and that's what you'd expect for a kiddie coaster. Look, like just, oh, let's just slap bang a coaster in the middle of the park and not theme it to anything. But that's the thing with Polton's. Honestly, I love it. At number 34, we have Twister at Creedy. This ride is honestly so fun, and especially when you go with your mates, it's just like the funnest thing ever. At number 33, we have Runaway Mine Train at Alton Towers. This ride, honestly, the operators are so funny. The ride is generally just so good, and it just brings such a good impression to the park. The reason why it's so high is because it's literally my childhood coaster, and oh, I'm actually obsessed. At number 32, we have one of my favourite childhood coasters, Scorpion Express at Chessington World of Adventures. This coaster I honestly miss so much. You guys don't even know. I'm so lucky and grateful I got as many rides as I could on this ride before it unexpectedly closed down. And I love it. It's such a great coaster. I'm going to get judged so bad for this, but at number 31, we have Hero at Flamingo Land. This coaster, honestly, it's so overhated. It does not deserve all the hate about being rough and like not smooth and you get thrown around everywhere. I've experienced it. I've had the edge seat and it is completely different to what people have said it as. So I feel like it's just so overhated, honestly. Like, just get over it. At number 30, we have Accelerator at Drayton Manor. This coaster, honestly, was so good, but at the same time, like, it wasn't. Like, I feel like it's good, like, and all. Like, I love the speed you get on there and everything, and going up that little whatever the hell you call it. Sorry, I'm not good with my elements. But I feel like the layout was just really short and snappy. Like, it is a good coaster, but just don't get me wrong. At number 29, we have Velociraptor at Polton's Park. This ride, honestly, is generally exactly the same as Accelerator. I kind of forgot the name of it then, but honestly, it's probably better. Like, the theming wise and just the overall going backwards feel. Exactly the same, but I just feel like the theming's just 10 times better on Velociraptor, or whatever the hell it's called, than Accelerator. At number 28, we have Cobra at Polton's Park. This coaster, honestly, used to be one of my favourites there. Another one of my childhood coasters, but honestly, it deserves to go quite high up. Not too low, but not too high. Like, just in the middle is just fine for this coaster. Like, it has the airtime. For example, these flipping airtime moments are actually insane. They get you out of your seat, and going through that tunnel, honestly, it's brilliant. It is such a good coaster. I need a better word for good, actually. It's such a brilliant coaster overall. There's a possibility I might get judged real hard for this. At number 27, we have Vampire at Chessington World of Adventures. This coaster is overall a good coaster, do not get me wrong, before you get started on all the vampires, good, blah, 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 monarchy. Basically, the headrest bangs your head around and there's no safety behind your head, so you'll end up banging your head about, gives me a big headache, and that goes that. Overall, it is a really good coaster, don't get me wrong, it's not so far down in my ratings, don't get me wrong, but there is some great moments in it, especially this part. Honestly, you get swung out your seat. Is that even a word? I don't even know. You get slung out your seat? I don't even know if that's a word either, but we roll. But it's a good coaster, it's just really rough and the theming is just really good, so at least it's not really low. At number 26, Snake at Chessington World of Adventures. Once again, the iconic park with the most questionable coasters, I must say. This ride's honestly such a brilliant ride, don't get me wrong. It's just really, really, really rough on the brake runs, but overall such a good ride. I swear this is all Chessington, but at number 26 we have Dragon's Fury. Sorry for the bad clips, but overall it's such a good coaster. Love it, better than Spinball at least, and it's just amazing. At number 25, we have Kamali at Flamingo Land. This ride I've only done twice, so bear in mind. I know it's low down in my ratings, but it wasn't too bad of a ride. Like, it's just really slow, and this is like one of the coasters I was really excited to do as well. Wasn't the best of rides, but it's still such a good coaster, and it's like different, isn't it? Like, it wasn't rough or anything, it was just really slow, but overall it was still such a good coaster. Like, got front and back row as well, so not too bad. At number 24, we have Speed No Limit at Oakwood. This coaster I only did two
times, and it is the roughest coaster I've ever ridden. This ride was manufactured by Gerstlauer, and honestly, if I actually said that right, was probably one of their roughest creations, I must say. Rougher than Saw! Most may disagree, but I agree with myself more than anything. You don't even know. Overall, though, such a good ride. But the lift hill also was very scary and took too long. That helix, though, was very thoughtful, and I loved it. But yeah. At number 23, I have Minifigure Speedway at Legoland Windsor. This coaster was brand new for 2024 and was probably one of the best coasters or even rides made at Legoland. Honestly, it was such a good investment for the park. They really needed it. I feel like it brings more of the thrill side to Legoland rather than just all for kids. Like, this is for kids, don't get me wrong, but it's mainly for like the little kids. But this coaster, honestly, everyone loves it, everyone enjoys it. I don't think I've heard one person say that they hate it, which is brilliant, because honestly, this coaster does not deserve any hate whatsoever. It was such a good idea for the park to announce that this coaster was going to be here, because honestly, it's honestly such a brilliant ride, and I've never actually had any downfalls of it, and it hasn't gone wrong. Like, it's such a good coaster. At number 22, we have Shockwave at Drayton Manor. This coaster has got refurbished ever since, but I have not actually got to ridden the wave so far since it was closed last time I went, but overall wasn't one of the best coasters, and I'm hoping the wave has changed it, because honestly, I really didn't really like the fact that it was stand up, and I just felt really unsafe in it, honestly. But the theming and everything makes it up for it, so I rate it. At number 21, I have Flight of the Pterosaur at Poulton's Park. This coaster is just so good. You don't even know. This is the only video I have, so yeah. At number 20, we have Megaphobia at Oakwood. This coaster is honestly so brilliant. Definitely my second best Woody, even though that's the only ones I've already done, is Wicker Man at this one, but we move. But it's such a good coaster. You get so much airtime. It's honestly just such a good coaster. At number 19, Velocity at Flamingo Land. There are so many things I could say about this coaster, but honestly, this flipping Intamin motorcycle roller coaster is probably one of my favourite launch coasters. In fact, it is one of my favourite. It is my favourite launch coaster out there. The speed you get on this motorcycle ride, I'm not even joking. You get whipped out your seat, you honestly do. But it's such a good coaster, honestly. It's just brilliant. I love it. I don't know what makes me love it so much. I lapped it. I probably did around like 10, 11 times on it. It's just such a brilliant coaster, honestly, and it's the main highlight. Some may disagree with me, but at number 18 we have 13 at Alton Towers. This coaster is honestly so brilliant. Theming's brilliant, ride's brilliant, but I feel like the layout was just really short, and overall it's such a good ride. At number 17 we have the Wizard at Alton Towers Resort. This coaster is honestly probably a decent ride overall. Like, it's not the best ride, but then it's quite a decent ride, but it doesn't deserve to go so high up in my rankings, mainly because it's just not the best of coasters. The queues are always long, etc, etc, but I love the layout, and overall you get such a good spin on it, and I honestly love it. And it's just one spare ride to do when you have nothing to do, and most of the queues are big queues anyway. Like, it's just a spare ride to do, you know. At number 16, Walking Dead The Ride at Thorpe Park. This ride's honestly, I don't have the best videos of it, but I love it. It's my favourite indoor ride / roller coaster, I guess you could say. I don't have many videos of this ride, honestly, but it's such a good coaster, and overall, it's overhated, I must say. At number 15, we have Mumbo Jumbo at Flamingo Land. This ride I've only done twice, but it's honestly such a great ride. The restraints are the weirdest restraints, so that's the only downfall about it. But to be fair, though, they seem like they're really dangerous, but honestly, they're not. They're really, like, comfortable. I don't know why, but this ride originally held a record for the world's steepest drop at 112 degrees. It's honestly probably one of my favourite drops I've ever done, because it may be like a really small one, but it's really steep. Honestly, you get so much airtime, and honestly, it's such a brilliant ride, and I love it so much.
At number 14, we have Storm Chaser at Poultons Park. This ride was manufactured by Mack Rides and is probably one of my favourite family coasters ever to be made. The best theming in the UK by far. That helix, you get such a good spin on it and it makes such a weird feeling in your stomach. But that's all a good thing, and honestly, it is definitely one of my favourite coasters and deserves to be so high up. At number 13, we have Mandrill Mayhem at Chessington World of Adventures. This brand new coaster for 2023 was honestly probably one of the best ever investments for the park. Honestly, I lapped this ride on New Year's and it was the best thing I've ever done. It's just so worth it. I just love the coaster. At number 12, we have Rita at Alton Towers. This coaster is probably one of the best launch coasters I've ever ridden. It is too overhated for my liking, honestly. Everyone just hates on it. There's nothing to hate about it. Like, it's such a brilliant coaster. That launch is so packed with speed, and it's just overall such a great coaster. At number 11, we have Colossus at Thorpe Park. This coaster, honestly, is probably one of my favourites. Overall, it's really overhated with the beef between it and Saw, and I just think it's extremely unnecessary since I think it's such a great coaster, but still does not compare to Sick, I must say. Sick is like the best of the best, but I overall think the Colossus is such a great coaster and it's extremely overhated and does not deserve any hate. This brings us to the top 10, which at number 10 we have Sick at Flamingo Land. This coaster is exactly the same layout as Colossus, but as I said, it's so much more better, so much more smoother, and generally just the lap bars and the restraints on it honestly just make it 10 times better of a coaster. I love it. At number 9, we have Galactica at Alton Towers. This ride is honestly the most underrated ride I know, and probably one of my most ridden coasters at Towers. It honestly is too underrated, and I love it. Night rides on this thing is honestly the best, and it's always my last ride of the day. It's just such an amazing ride. I love the fact you're just flying, and I low-key just want this coaster to last. And I really don't want them to replace it like they said they were going to replace it with something to do with the Phalanx. As it was my first 1.4 coaster, I will forever cherish it in my heart. Always and forever. At number 8, we have Saw the Ride at Thorpe Park. This coaster is probably one of my favourites at Thorpe. It's honestly so overhated. I can't even get over the fact it's that overhated, to be honest. It's such a brilliant ride. The theming's phenomenal, and generally it's just so good. And I don't think it's that rough for my liking. It's just so good. I love Saw. So this brings us to number 7, where I already smelled the comments of my hate. So this brings us to number 7, Nemesis Reborn at Alton Towers. This coaster is probably one of the worst coasters, in my opinion, at Towers. In fact, it probably is. Even Octonauts is better than this coaster. Oh, actually, never mind. I kind of put it down lower than Nemesis Reborn. Overall, the theming of Reborn's amazing, but I personally think OG was so much more better, had more of the pacing, the speeds and everything. But I generally feel like they made such a good effort with it, but they need to bring back OG because it's not the same. They brought the fountains back, but it's not the same as the old blood fountains, and I honestly, I just don't really like how slow it is. It's got no pace to it at all. It just doesn't. It's smooth, don't get me wrong, but I feel like it's just extremely overrated. Reborn Glazers get on my last nerve, and honestly, it's a decent ride, I must put that out there. At number 6, we have the better Nemesis Inferno at Thorpe Park. This coaster is generally one of my favourites. Once again, at Thorpe, probably my favourite. Oh, sorry, Hyperia, but this is my second favourite at Thorpe. It's honestly such a brilliant coaster. Obviously, it didn't beat OG Nemesis, but it's honestly definitely the better Nemesis right now in 2025. I generally can't wait to get back on it in 2025 because 2024 was not the best year since I'm rarely at Thorpe. At number 5, we have Oblivion at Alton Towers. This coaster is definitely one of my favourite roller coasters there. I was debating whether it would beat Smiler, but I feel like it doesn't. But since Smiler was probably the only favourite ride I actually had at Towers at the point before I rid Hyperia itself, the beauty. But honestly, this ride, that drop is just, it never disappoints. It never disappoints. At number 4, we have the Swarm at Thorpe Park. This coaster honestly never disappoints yet again. Swarm is definitely by far one of my favourite wing coasters ever. Sorry, Mandrill. But overall, it's such an amazing coaster. Honestly, I've only ridden this coaster recently and gotten over my fears of coasters, like 3 years ago when I did my first 1.4 ride, Galactica, as I just said. But overall, this coaster, with the theming, everything about it, just honestly is so spectacular. It just makes it up and makes it up to such a brilliant coaster. At number 3, top 3 alert, we have the Smiler at Alton Towers, my original favourite coaster, sadly gone down to number 3. This coaster honestly did not disappoint. It never does. It always gets called really rough, and I don't understand why. Like, Smiler does have its rough days, especially on that Heartline roll, but overall, I don't see what people are complaining at since it's such a brilliant coaster. At number 2, this brings us to the best coaster at Towers, argue with the blimmin' wool. This brings us to number 2, Wicker Man at Alton Towers Resort. This coaster never disappoints. This is my most ridden coaster, probably by far, of any coaster. It's my dad's favourite as well, which he's actually got me addicted to it. But every single ride I've done on it makes me realise how much of a great coaster this is. Definitely by far, it's forever going to be my favourite Woody, ever. It just, the theming, everything just adds it up to be such a brilliant coaster. I love it so, so, so much. This brings us to number 1, Hypeia, as I must say, because it actually looks like it says Hypeia. Don't get me wrong, I'm the owner of Hypeia, as you guys all know. But at number 1, we have Hyperia at Thorpe Park. This ride, honestly, did not disappoint. You guys don't even get how much I love this coaster. I don't care how much you call me a Hyperia glazer. Call me a Hyperia blimmin' glazer all you want. I will glaze this coaster as much as I blimmin' want because it deserves it. It is a boss. Honestly, the airtime and the hang time on this coaster is mental. The hang time you get on this coaster is mental. It did not disappoint me. It left me with the biggest smile on my face. I don't even know how I did it. Like, I've always been so scared of coasters when I was little. And I'm so proud of myself for doing such a beast like this. Hyperia is such a brilliant coaster. I recommend it to all of you guys, and I generally love this coaster with all my heart, even though I've only done it 3 times, but it's okay. But I love this coaster with all my heart. It deserves as much glaze as possible, so all the Hyperia haters out there, go cry about it, because honestly, I'm the biggest Hyperia glazer. No, I'm joking, I'm not the biggest, but I'm one of the biggest Hyperia glazers out there.